playing LA Noire today.
Yes, we are, good sir, and luckily, my skill set is completely applicable to this game. A couple weeks ago, I started my bachelor's degree in criminology, so I should be pretty apt at making this work.
You're getting a degree to play this game?
Yes, I am.
It's a video game.
I got it online. I had to do one of those tests, like match the serial killer with number of victims. Last one was Charles Manson. It was a trick question. I picked 0. I got it. I'm going to ace this game. Well, Bray's actually playing it. But luckily, I also hold a master's degree in yelling at people into submission, so this should be perfect.
What kind of degree is that?
I got it. It's fine. I got all my credit hours in. It's fine. Hit A.
Where every man can own his own home.
Oh, yeah, remember back in the 40s when everything was fine? We had to defeat the Third Reich to do it, but everything's fine now. Everybody's happy. Everybody's got their head on straight. It's not like, the Zodiac Killer's on his way or anything, but whatever.
The art director was hiding behind that tree.
Oh my god!
Hollywoodland.
Oh, fun fact about that. Hollywood land, they got rid of the land because it became too infested with, filth and, foliage. So they got rid of it, even though for some reason it was just the land part.
Really?
Yeah, the Hollywood was fine, but the land, just attracts bugs and leaves and dirt, grime.
The human mind is hiding behind the microscope.
These people are hiding because they were overworked. They're hiding behind their desks. That's why there was never a sequel to this game.
So they're sneaking in. Those guys hid behind a wire. They didn't come out of hiding, they went into hiding.
Roger, 14 Adam en route.
Get over there! Not even 5 seconds into the game, oh, wow.
Whoa,
Wow, oh. See, it doesn't want you to do that. It really doesn't want you to do that.
I made it.
It's like this game is 15 hours long, man. If you can't get around the fact that you're a policeman and you gotta stay on the right side of the law, this game is not for you. Don't hit any more people. Or cars.
I'm a cop. I can do whatever I want. Remember why I hate this controller? It's every time I hit
Every
something.
time you hit somebody. Hit a person. Try that. Watch, you hit a person and the game crashes.
Where are they?
Okay, if you don't know the probability of killing someone, you have to be very precise. Problem is, when you do actually kill someone, you're pretty much dead to rights because you have to try really hard to kill someone.
Oh, there we go.
You got 2. I've never seen that before. You've got 2. Let's ensure you got 2.
dead.
Whoa. Goodness. Wonder Woman. Supergirl. Don't watch out for the civilians. They're superheroes. Okay, here we are. See, that car didn't crash into anybody on the way here.
I mean, by the looks of my car, I didn't either.
Oh, just cutscene backing you up, I guess. Now you can access cutscenes.
Is this how the 40s worked?
Cole Phelps has superpowers.
I really enjoyed your lecture, Doctor.
See what happens with newspapers in the 40s is they wrote out scripts of conversations as opposed to secondhand journalism. I'm thinking about creating a awesome new breathtaking website called WebMD where people can go on and make their lives harder than it needs to be.
Hey, have you ever read a newspaper and then it started a movie in your brain?
Coyote blood. What, Cole? Yeah, I can smell it from here. Wait a second. I was in the war. Wait. Let's tie some of these plot points together. What do you mean I can't beat up a hooker, sell cocaine, and then go shoot up a bank? What do you mean I can't do that? Slash, what do you mean I can't live the life I've always wanted to live? I didn't want to be a police officer.
Smith & Wesson, serial S71.
Shut up!
You know a local gun store?
Sure. There's a place a couple of blocks from here.
Sure, my house. It's a little thing I do on the side.
I run guns and narcotics out of my house. Shh. Mum's the word, Phelps.
services too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you the latest installment in the drama serial, The Incongruous Crusaders in the Cavalcade of Cadavers.
Welcome. This is Leroy G. Caldwell. Have you ever believed yourself to be someone who can sum up the person standing next to you, both inside and out? Whether that be your friend, your neighbor, a complete stranger. Of course not. Over the course of a lifetime, we can barely grasp everything that drives us, that dwells in us, that makes us love, that makes us hate, that makes us smile, that makes us hurt. So one would never be as foolish as to think they can fully understand the farthest reaches or the darkest depths of the human psyche. We are not born into this world with a signal ingrained in our soul to do good nor evil. The freedom is there for us to do with what we will. For those who side with good are rewarded, and as for those who side with evil, are hunted, ostracized, and punished. The next question I pose is, are there indicators as to when a person has taken the leap into evil, the plunge into depravity? Always remember, a man can see his life, the life that he took so long to carve out for himself, wither away, and still hold it together well enough to do something dreadful. Place that in the back of his mind and convincingly smile to his closest friend, as if nothing is wrong. There are people who commit wrongdoings in a moment of weakness, who are reformed and never go down that road again. However, for those who can stare a fellow human being in the eye as they hear that final breath push through their pursed lips and the vibrance leave their eyes, are the brick and mortar of which the foundation of hell is built with. And as summer changes to fall in 1948 Los Angeles, such a monster walks the streets and back alleys with a smile on his face and a habitual need in his heart to deprive fathers of daughters, brothers of sisters, and people of cherished friends. And as he sits in his office on a rainy, stormy night at the Broadway Police Department, Homicide Detective Bray and his soon-to-arrive partner, Dan, will receive a call that will lead them on a crusade that ensures nothing but sleepless nights and uneasy days ahead. Bray sits at his desk contemplating the events of the past several weeks and an unknown future.
I never envisioned it would be easy, but I had hoped that it would be at least relenting. Usually, people only yearn for the soft touch of the sun during the winter months, but for me it's year-round. Every day I covet even the smallest glimmers of warmth to calm my soul and mind, to remove me from this ever-draining desk and place me in a far-off paradise where every week doesn't consist of something along the lines of a phone call in the middle of the night, finding out there's a man whose life was cut short sitting in his living room, only to find out the woman who looked him squarely in the eyes and promised to walk through hell and high water with him poisoned his drink, just to collect on a life insurance policy that brought her nothing more than a petty trip to Maui. I don't want to start believing that for every bright light in the universe there's something or someone ready to stamp it out, but every day I get closer to that conclusion. I'd imagine I would sound like a giant introspective tool if someone were to happen upon these mental thoughts of mine, but nonetheless. Speaking of tools, and not a very sharp or adept one at that, Dan should be getting back with that box of donuts any time now. I try to keep my feet planted firmly and keep a stiff upper lip when life hurls debris my way. But I feel I've been awake for so long now, rummaging through the worst filth this town can rain down on me. Murder after murder. Granted, what I do hold on to is that it could be worse. Detectives Frankie and Vincent are up to their necks in merciless anguish, trying to track down that savage murderer. No telling to what extreme that wears on a person's mind.
I'm back.
And there's Dan, with his tie undone, his shirt untucked,
Damn it, I left my gun on the counter!
and personality unchecked.
Oh, it's really coming down hard out there. I got the donuts, dig in.
Alright, thanks. How much do I owe you?
Not a dime, 9 cents.
Dan, did you strong-arm poor old Shelly out of another box of donuts?
Of course I didn't strong arm her. The way I see it, there's only 2 ways to get free donuts. Win a contest, or if you have a badge, you tell them if they're ever getting robbed at gunpoint, you'll look the other way.
Come on, Dan. She's trying to keep her business afloat. She needs the money. Plus, her son still hasn't come back from the war yet. She's juggling a lot.
Well, how about her loving son sends her some money?
You don't make that much money from being in the army.
What? So you're saying that Babe Ruth turns his hips 45 degrees and his gut a lot more, and he makes tons of money. But our servicemen go over to Germany and defeat the biggest, most dastardly supervillain of all time, and they don't go to Uncle Sam and renegotiate their contracts for more money?
Firstly, there's no contracts. Secondly, you talk about Hitler like he's from a comic strip.
He will be. Time takes the sting out of everything. Now he's the devil. In 50 years, he's gonna be a caricature. You just watch. He's gonna end up being a puppet on some daytime kids' educational show, trust me.
Shh. Hello? Yeah. Sure, we'll be right over, Captain.
What's going on?
I don't know. Captain McAllister wants us in his office for something urgent.
Do you think he's gonna grant my request to get a search warrant for that zoo?
What? No, I'm not even gonna ask.
No, well, you see, what happened was I was about to feed the bears, and then I had a realization that... So before I could get him to pick a card, the monkey jumped on the elephant's back and refused to come down, and yet I'm the one to blame? There's something wrong with that place, and it needs to be scoped out. That's why I'm the beacon of light that this town so desperately needs. I can make the difference that needs to be made.
I agree, Dan. You will be a profound difference maker, but you won't actually see any of your contributions because you won't make any until your brain is donated to science. They study it and find out how to counteract a rare early onset of dementia. Let's head inside.
Hello, gentlemen. Sit down.
Hey, Captain. Are we getting that search warrant for the bowling alley?
Wait, what do you mean we? Don't bring me into this. Wait, you said that was for a zoo. So you made that all up. Dan, do you just want a license to get into places for free?
I would have given it to you on weekends.
Quiet, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, the department is in an enormous bind. Crime rates are falling, we're holding the mob at bay, but as you both know, there's a greater evil at play here.
The killer.
Yes. Who now in their own special little way have claimed 2 more tortured souls. Detectives Frankie and Vincent, while they may have been my most steadfast lawmen, they succumbed to the brutal reality of the villainy they were confronted with. Yesterday, not even a week into investigating the most recent murder, they both broke down. Normally, I'm one to remind them what they're fighting for and the city that depends on them. But in this instance, I granted their wishes for a leave of absence, as well as once they return, they will no longer be burdened by this plague, and will be assigned to a different case.
I mean, I can't exactly hold it against them.
Nor can I, Bray. They were following this creature's venomous trail since the beginning, since the first poor soul was found 4 years ago. Factor in that even after 29 victims, there were no solid suspects. No blame shall be placed upon them. Even for the most hardened of us, the horror never eases up. Frankie and Vincent could only see so many college girls that were the same age as their own kids, chained to trees, bodies ravaged with numbers branded on them like animals. They needed to move on to greener pastures.
Yeah, those 2 always were a pair of softies. Continue, sir.
So in the wake of their departure, I need detectives to overtake this investigation. And it is with a heavy heart that I ask you two, right here, right now. Are you up for the task?
More than you could ever know, Captain.
Agreed. Just give us a week and a half tops, and we'll plop this guy right on your doorstep.
Excellent. From this moment forward, I put my undying trust in the both of you to deliver this sadist not just to me, but to the inhabitants of this city, who have been deprived of answers for far too long.
We give you our word that that's precisely what we intend on doing.
Yes, in exactly 1 week, we will be hot on his trail because tomorrow starts the Looney Tunes Marathon.
As little as I want that for you, you're gonna be starting a lot sooner than that. Officer Mercer called the station about a half an hour ago. Another poor young woman has been found chained to a tree on the corner of Kipsey and Fremont, near the middle of the park. I understand I'm throwing you into the fire, but we must be hell-bent on ending this nightmare. Head there now. The coroner's on his way.
Right away, Captain.
We're on the case, because no matter the wall, no matter the hill, we shall find the will to not only protect, but to something or another.
And now he's workshopping a catchphrase. That's just grand.
Detectives Bray and Dan, homicide. Are you the one who called it in?
Yes, Detective. Officer Ray Mercer. I was told you two would be taking over the case.
Yes, we are. Where's the body?
Past those trees and then up on the hill. Coroner's already here.
Thanks.
Hey Mercer, if you ever want to graduate from being a beat cop, here's what you do.
Dan, not another one of your harebrained schemes.
No, hear me out. What you do is you go out to the supermarket with your mother, park on the curb across the street, make sure you have your police uniform on, tell her to wait in the car. You following me?
I'm following you, but I resent my decision to do so.
So you go in the grocery store, sit down, and wait until she gets antsy and wonders what's taken so long. And without thinking, she will jaywalk across the street. Once you see this, you make a beeline for her, slap the handcuffs on, bring her to the station, throw her in a cell, and with the higher-ups watching while she's disowning you, you go, well, that's just hunky-dory because my real family is the city, and I will not allow hags and degenerates like you to prance illegally across its impeccably paved streets. Then you slam the door on her, clearly putting the city before your family. Next thing you know, you'll be kicking your feet up on a homicide desk.
So, is that what you did?
No. See, I didn't have a mother around to do it to, but believe me, to get to where I am, I put this city first.
Dan, we all know you have that spot because you're in with the mob.
Keep telling yourself that.
Dan, are you trying to convince another respectable officer to get their nephew to start a fight in their schoolyard so that they can break it up and climb the ranks?
Wait, what?
Listen, just remember what I said. You can go through with it. I mean, you can do it. Mr. Coroner?
Detectives, clock foreman.
Ray, this is my partner Dan. What do we got so far?
Well, 23-year-old female. We found a handbag 10 feet from the body with the belongings along with identification. Rachel Singleton. From what we were able to gather from her personal effects, she's a student at Los Angeles State College of Applied Arts and Science.
Time of death?
Around 12 a.m. No later than 12:30 a.m. based on her temperature. Something wrong?
Give it a second.
What?
Hey, Dan, this is the part where you start accusing him of being the killer because he knows when she died.
Hey, that only happened because I was drunk, dreary-eyed because the victim had the same initials as me, and it only happened once.
Now, is this type of display in line with all the past murders?
Very much so. The MO is the same as the past 29 victims. Brutally beaten and then chained to a tree. From what I can surmise, the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. But we don't know for sure until we get her down and examine her back at the office.
There seems to be an insignia imprinted on her forehead.
Good eye. Just like in all the other instances, a branding iron was used to say what number victim they are in Roman numerals on their forehead. In this case, it's 3 X's.
We'll follow up on that with establishments that deal in farming equipment. I'm sure detectives Frankie and Vincent looked into it, but we'll try from a different angle.
As if that wasn't enough for you guys' first day on the case, we also found the other constant from all these murders. A poem typed on a sheet of paper. We removed it. It was taped to a dress. They all seem to play into what number the victim is. Take a look.
A celebration in order, as their bodies grow colder, the 30th of whom shall add a splash of color to their tomb.
Somehow, someway, you get used to the physical carnage these monsters leave in their wake, but you never come to terms with the separation they can maintain between their sick games and the traumatic domino effect they're causing. Every time I read one of those poems, my quality of sleep plummets even further. I look at complete strangers differently and spend mornings and nights pondering if we as a species would be better off if we just ceased to exist as a whole. The countless bright lights that exist across the globe does not make up for even one of these people existing.
You're right, Clark, they do exist. And it's hard to go even a day without letting the idea that they are out there seep into our minds. But while they're out there, we are too. And not only are we out there, but we are placed directly in their path. And as long as we remain bold, meticulous, and steadfast, we can deliver them to a system of justice that will ensure that they no longer walk this earth.
Agreed. I will assist you two in any way possible. I imagine the two of you will be stopping by after the autopsy is completed.
Yes, we will.
I was wondering something about the poem.
I'd imagine you're wondering about fingerprints. With all the other poems, no prints were left. The paper itself is nondescript. We've looked into the font, but it's indistinct, and it could come from any old typewriter.
Whoa, that's all well and good. You know, that medical doctorate is sure paying off. It's probably also given you a vast knowledge on greeting cards, but I was wondering more along the lines of, if we want to send hate mail back their way, does it have to be in stanza form?
Dan, I doubt if you got angry with someone you'd be able to hold it together well enough to put a poem together.
That's not true.
Rhyme something then.
Boat and float. See, there you go.
That wasn't so much a rhyme as it was you just thinking of a random word, clearly getting stumped, and then connected boat with its primary action and fell backwards into a rhyme. Good for you.
Respect the effort.
Yeah, the barest of minimum efforts.
Guys, it might also interest you that we have an address for her. 5931 Rosemont Avenue.
We'll head there now. Thanks, Clark, for everything. We'll see you at your office tomorrow.
Godspeed, you two.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I'm ready to kill more people. It's nighttime. There aren't many people.
That's a shame.
Oh!
God damn it, Cole!
Shut up!
Goodness. Cole Phelps, I always remain on the right side of the law.
Jesus!
I think you clipped that guy. Okay, from now on we are relegated to driving only on sidewalks. Let's stay on the sidewalks. Let's see how much collateral damage we can rack up by just staying on the sidewalks.
Sorry. I went back.
Oh, that was a bad one. I think your car's shot.
Oh man, there are consequences? I wouldn't have done it if there were consequences.
Turn left when you can.
I can't!
Turn left when you can.
What's over here? Can I see a map? I ain't gonna walk there. I don't need the car.
Let's just take an old trippity trip.
Woo! So you just gonna stay in there?
Is your partner?
Yeah, you give him your insurance card, I'm out. Woo! Let's hope that fixes itself.
Tell him his car was not regulation because it was too hard when I crashed into it. Normally I just clip cars. That one just completely totaled it.
This is quite the predicament I'm in. This won't get me that promotion I wanted. Can I get in this car?
Mate.
Ooh. Yeah. See?
Now Cole Phelps is thinking, okay, let's get to the destination. Probably pick up my partner first. Ray is thinking, I could do 3 times the damage with this oil drum truck. I am correct.
That guy is super dead.
Just because we're in uniform doesn't mean we can't use our...
God damn it, Cole!
Okay, that shouldn't have given it that much resistance.
Can you stop insulting me, please?
Seems a little too good to be true.
It's my first day on the force.
It's my first day with my driver's license. I just got off a big Grand Theft Auto kick. Can you just let me do this, please?
You don't care who gets in your way.
Aw, man.
You don't care who gets injured, do you?
The end of case fitness report?
I think you could have got that guy sitting on that bench.
Now it's telling me there are consequences for my actions.
I just can't wait to see the bill at the end of this.
There's a bill? Why am I never told these things?
Does it matter at this point?
I mean, not really, but...
Excuse me, Sergeant.
Hello, Mr. Park Ranger.
Fuck you.
Oh,
You say
excuse
another
me.
word, I'll break your fucking head and have you in the brig.
I want to put
Some
this
of
guy
us
in the
are
Yogi
here.
Bear
I know why you're
movie.
here, asswipe.
Hey, boo-boo. What do we got in this? What
Some
are
people
you
don't seem to
bears
like
doing?
I got my car back!
Cole? It took a long time to get this car back.
Pop your head up, please.
Well, we're gonna do this assassin style, I guess.
Hello.
Oh, that was a horrible way to go.
The bank is surrounded. I'm offering you a chance.
There is definitely people in the back. My hat! That's where I draw the line.
That's a felony.
Candidate Phelps, you have the floor.
Cole Phelps, come up here and give your report of the plot and character development of The Great Gatsby, please.
And now we return to the incongruous Crusaders.
Alright, we're almost there. To deliver some news, I would give an arm and a leg to not have to.
There's a very specific way we have to inform our parents of what happened. So just let me spin this tail, and we'll be back at the station as quick as a cat.
I was thinking more along the lines of you just waiting in the car.
Why?
You can barely deliver good news without a touch of loathing in your voice.
Hey, my methods are the blueprint that this department should be following to a T.
Dan, I heard you once got a strike on your record because when you got to the scene of a woman who was killed and clearly left overnight, you tried to pool valuable police resources and went, from what your former partner told me, and I quote, set up a perimeter, he could still be here.
I wanted to get some practice in with the law enforcement lingo. You only truly retain it when you use it out in the field.
Okay, so when we go inform this family their child's on a hill, bludgeoned to death, and they tried to hold back clawing their eyes out, are you gonna follow that up with a happy-go-lucky, don't worry about it folks, we're on the case? Add an arm swing in there like on the opening of a sitcom?
No, I'm not gonna do that to these parents. Because there's people out there who just refuse to have their days brightened up.
So wait, are you implying that these people should just be able to poker face this news?
Bray, one day when we collect our pensions and we're retired on a beach somewhere, you'll realize how proficient my approach was to my police work.
Could you repeat that? All I heard was I can't wait to retire and why is his policing style so inefficient? We're here.
Hey listen, I'm gonna try to relax them before we drop this bomb on them. So I'm gonna knock on the door, and when they open the door, I'm gonna keep making the knocking motion, you know, loosen them up.
If you do that, I'm gonna pull out my gun.
And?
That's up to you.
Yes?
My name's Detective Truffles. This is my partner, Switchblade. We got a couple questions we need to ask you.
LAPD, sir. Detectives Bray and Dan. Does Rachel Singleton live here?
Yes, she does.
Are you her father?
No, I'm her Uncle Walter Singleton.
Where are her parents?
Well, Rachel was supposed to come home from college earlier tonight at around 9 p.m., and when she didn't show or make any contact with them, they ran out looking for her and asked for me to come and watch their 12-year-old daughter.
Can we come in, Mr. Singleton? We have some rather unpleasant news.
Sure. Now, what is it? Did Rachel do something wrong? Did she have a run-in with the law? What is it?
Where is the kid?
In her room. Can you please tell me what's happened?
Your niece was found murdered tonight, sir.
What?
She was found a few hours ago in a park about 15 miles from here.
But...
If you're able to, sir, me and my partner would like to ask you some questions. Dan? Where?
I heard a call from the dispatch. I had to check on it.
What was it all about?
Something about a riot. It wasn't for us. Hey, listen, buddy, your lawn is easily 2 weeks overdue for a mowing, and
Dan!
Did you?
Yes! Goodness.
I am so sorry, good sir. I didn't know that he had told you.
That's... Alright.
Mr. Singleton, we're gonna ask you some questions. Can you go through with that?
I'll try.
Now, where exactly was your niece coming from this evening?
Wait, this is just her uncle? Now why'd you have to get me all worked up and apologetic over nothing? This guy's sitting here acting like he's all shaken up. I thought this was her dad, not someone she sees twice a year. I thought his wife ran in the other room about to cut her wrists or something.
How dare you?
Whoa,
I swear to
Walter,
God, I'll drop you where
calm
you stand.
yourself. My partner is just... Sometimes to be a homicide detective, your levels of empathy have to hit a staggering low to even do the job.
Okay, now, what do you got to ask?
There's one piece of evidence.
What?
Nothing?
Where was your niece leaving from this evening?
She was coming here, directly from her college. She attends the Los Angeles State College of Applied Arts and Science. She was majoring in environmental ecology.
Was she driving over with someone else, possibly?
Not that I know of.
How was her quality of life as of late? Did she speak of any troubles she was having?
She always maintained a very jovial attitude, but from what her parents told me, she felt very bogged down and highly stressed from what was being asked of her in her college life. They mentioned she was getting assistance with that, though.
Where were you before you came here?
I was home.
And you have someone who can corroborate your whereabouts?
Yes, my wife.
Okay, you were home, so that means you don't work nights.
Yeah? What does that matter?
Well, it means that you go to sleep at nighttime. That means you are susceptible to terrible late-night nightmares. Like one time, when I was a kid, I had a nightmare where, if you're familiar with the tortoise and the hare story, that I was the referee in that matchup, and I fired the starting gun. I watched the hare take off like a bolt of lightning, the tortoise just stumbling onto the track. So I ran to the finish line and the hare was almost there, but he laid down, and right before he closed his eyes, he mumbled some racial slurs about the tortoise, but I let it slide in the spirit of gritty competition. Here comes the tortoise a while later, while the hare is asleep and crosses the finish line. I was so inspired by this. I thought it was the most splendid dream I ever had. But before the dream ended, I did some digging into both the tortoise and the hare. I looked into some documents, and it turns out the hare was bribed to throw the race against the tortoise because some crooks aimed to make a lot of money from all the betting forest animals. The whole moral of the story was ruined, I lost all faith in humanity, and I woke up in a cold sweat.
What does this have to do with anything?
What it has to do with is if you have any suppressed secrets, you will have nightmares because of them, and the longer you hold in those secrets, the more dire and vivid those nightmares become. So I'm asking you right now, before those nightmares come, do you have any information that can aid in our investigation that will lead to the arrest of your niece's killer? Because I think you're holding something back, you laughably pathetic, two-faced, double-chinned scumbag.
What?
And that'll be all and then some, Mr. Singleton. If you can think of anything else, please call the station. When Rachel's parents get home, have them present themselves to the Broadway police station just for some formality questions. I'm sincerely sorry for your loss.
I will, officer. Please find him. Please.
As long as I have a heartbeat, my only intention is that, sir. I promise you.
Thank you.
Dan, what was that back there?
Just trying to get these people to open up.
From what I could tell back there, your way of opening people up is by shutting them down immediately after you meet them.
Speaking of that, thanks for the assist back there when that guy went ballistic.
Now listen, I stuck up for you because you're my partner. I wish I could have stuck up for you because you were right.
Regardless, we got some more info, and tomorrow we should have even more.
Yes. Tomorrow at noon, we'll head to the coroner's office and see what he's got for us. For now, we'll check in with the captain and call it a night.
Rightio.
Let's head in and see what Clark's got for us.
In we go. The practicing mad doctor.
Bray, Dan, thanks for stopping by.
Hey Clark, anything new come up?
Well, for starters, my hunch was correct. The cause of death is repeated blunt force trauma to the temple and eye region of the skull.
What kind of weapon are we talking?
My guess? A crowbar or a lug wrench based on the impact and damage. Sadly, I wasn't able to collect any notable information from the autopsy. It's been pretty bare bones as far as the evidence left behind by this guy. No fingerprints, no fibers, nothing.
Regardless, thank you for the work you've put forth, Clark. We're gonna look into the branding iron angle at this juncture. Hopefully we can get something from that.
That's definitely a good direction. Nothing came up for that in past investigations, but maybe you could uncover something.
Hey Clark, do you have a couple minutes or do you have work you need to get back to?
I've got all the time in the world for this case.
Great, because I've got an idea for a board game that I'm going to pitch to a toy company.
In that case, I've got work to get to.
No, wait. I want to pitch this board game, but I wanted to show you the early draft of it because you're all about anatomy, and I wanted you to check it for accuracy.
All right, what is it?
I'm going to call it Operation, and it's a board game where you use tweezers to pick different organs out of a body, and whoever gets more money from the organs they extract wins.
Dan, that will never catch on. I don't think people would want to root around in a half-naked, fully grown adult.
No, it's a kid.
Whoa, what the hell, man?
Yeah, it'll look like the All-American boy. He'll be a little pudgy, he'll have the bowl cut, everything.
You're gonna dig around in entrails of a dead kid for a board game?
No, he's still alive.
Dan, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah, and if you hit the sides, it'll make a noise.
What the?
Here, take a look at the design of the game board. So I want it to look like this.
What
and he's
the-
gonna be laying flat. Where the hell are you going? Oh, real professional! Real professional! You're really adhering to the Hippocratic Oath right now, aren't ya?
Well, Dan, you made the coroner nauseous. You can now check that off your list of nearly impossible feats.
Shame. I was just about to ask him if he wouldn't mind letting his kid model for the game board. What? I saw him at the department picnic. He looks perfect.
On that off-key note, let's be on our way. Let's get back to the station. I gotta look over some evidence from one of the previous murders. Oh no, it's the press.
I say we give him a story for the front page.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Of course it doesn't.
How about we give them a profile of me and you? Let's tell them something that sums us up so they can get a handle on who we are. So then they can do a write-up on us. The two fearless investigators hot on the trail of a brutal killer.
Now you're thinking.
So how about we get out of the car, I go up to them and tell them we're doing everything in our power to bring this fiend to justice. In fact, I'm headed upstairs right now to go over the case files to get a better handle on how to catch this monster. And we are getting closer every day.
I'm liking it.
And then when they ask you a question, you turn around and go, "Oh, come on, man, I locked my keys in the car." Nice little accurate feature story.
How about I take one of those light bulbs from those cameras and break it upside your head?
I would love that, because I get to see someone who's really sensitive crack under the weight of some really bad press.
Detectives, are we any closer to some answers?
You go inside, I'll handle it.
Don't say anything you'll regret.
Hello there, people of the press. I just want to let you know
Would
that...
your partner be available for some questions?
Ray is unavailable for comment. However, let me give you a couple tidbits we've gathered so far. Thanks to our magnificent department, our numerous resources, and the assistance of some extremely vigilant officers and detectives who work tirelessly day after day, as well as dutiful people working behind the scenes, we have established that this killer is probably a white male between the ages of 33 and 45. Write that down. I said write it down!
1 week later.
Well, so far, Captain, we've reviewed all the evidence from all the previous murders, and there's nothing concrete we can conclude at the moment.
We've looked into everything available to us, and we can't seem to find anything that stands out that sticks. There's very few overlapping things from all these cases other than they were all college-age girls.
No one wants this guy more than I do, but I can understand the dubious and perilous endeavor you two find yourself in. There's a reason after 30 murders, no suspect went further than initial questioning. This creature is, while ferocious, also very meticulous. Doesn't leave many scraps behind.
All these victims, all of them were female students, all studying at universities. Why does he pursue them?
Jealousy? I mean, all that killing won't make his GED go away, but...
Excuse me, gentlemen. Yes. No. Where? Okay.
What is it, Captain?
Another girl was found.
Oh, God.
She was found in Copper Park, corner of Bellevue and Elson. Head there now.
But the last murder was barely over a week ago.
This phantom is yearning for more.
The case that you solved that shows that you have the gumption, the gung-ho, the get up and go to make you stand out from your...
They don't let me drive a car anymore, so now I just have to walk. There's that guy that can't drive a car anymore. He's probably doubly as dangerous.
LAPD.
I hate
stand clear of
this.
the body, please. Has anyone
I
called an
definitely have a car.
Called an ambulance and the police, but I'm
Let's
afraid
all
he's dead.
calm down.
There it is.
Okay, stand further back.
Well, they really don't want me driving a car. They just put him with somebody else.
Our job.
Can you see my... How many fingers am I holding up? How many fingers?
Walk into him, see what happens. Cole Phelps, no concern. I am a
excuse
god.
Me. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, sorry. Trash.
Phelps, that's inadmissible evidence. Once you throw something away, it is no longer belonging to its original owner. Oh, really? And he just throws his eviction notice from his apartment in there.
Okay.
That's why garbage men always look so poor. They take on the burden of all, like late taxes. 27 years.
So this is her receipt.
You think you could tell
That's her
me
receipt.
exactly what happened, miss?
I look around
Well, they don't age well in the 40s. 27. Ugh, that's a rough 27.
When Mr. Gage, my boss,
Mr. Gage, my boss.
And?
We came back.
I am not homeless.
I was angry.
I do not live in this
I
store.
walked in front.
I promise you, I just got promoted. I was a storefront mannequin up until last week.
Did you see the person who shot Mr. Gage?
Of course I did.
Yeah,
Mr.
I saw who killed him.
very angry.
He had a police uniform on. He was driving a truck with oil drums.
Threw the gun in a bin.
The bastard.
And he ran him right over.
And walked away.
He backed up and ran him over again.
I can't open this book.
If he infers that much from newspaper, imagine if he got like a real complex book. And he just made the whole thing into a movie in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out of it and it's dark. And the body's decayed. Hey Phelps, what do you want us to do with the body?
Oh, she's dead.
Oh!
Oh, she's...
Wait, no. You gotta... Come on. You gotta go back.
No.
Alright.
I don't have time.
Let's obey some traffic laws. People were so much tougher back in the 40s. You just shrug that off.
When I was 10 years old, I was run over by a car. And I didn't think anything of it.
When I was 15, we'd play that game called Chicken.
Officer.
And then after that, someone would drive a car at me at 60 miles an hour and I'd jump over it.
But I'm curious as to whether you can turn your hand to interrogation. Takes a certain animal cunning, lad. Do you think you might be ready for that?
Yes, sir.
You're looking into the eyes of someone
Good man.
who drives on the sidewalk.
You need many
On the
things
wrong
to
side of the street.
A motive?
Any old person could just drive on the sidewalk on the right side of the street, but I drive on the sidewalk on the wrong side of the street.
You're not denying you're a Jew, Mr. Kalu.
This is America. It's not Germany. It's not a crime.
Some people don't like Jews, Mr. Kalu.
And I guess you're one of them.
Gage hated Jews, didn't he, Mr. Kalu?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Imagine if the next question was the next question just said Auschwitz question mark, and you tell him you don't believe Auschwitz really happened, did you?
Okay.
Okay. We'll take that. He didn't bring up the vehicular damage.
The driver's seat.
Oh, we'll be great at this. It just cuts to Cole Phelps going like 90 down the street. I'm in the driver's seat.
I got my license back. Wee. No! Yeah! Why is it always red?
I did my job. No one is saying you didn't.
They're all complaining about the war or something. I don't really care.
That's the third time you've told
That's how brutal the war is. You just front-ended 2 cars and they're like, Okinawa was awful.
Well, he knows we're there.
Guns don't kill people. Cold indifference kills people.
Cold indifference.
Ha ha!
Hello? Please come back.
Now, Bray, I respect your restraint here. You have a gun in your hand and you're not going after any of these pedestrians.
Why would I do that?
Well, see how you are behind the wheel of a car.
That's totally different. Those are 2 different things.
Why? Because it's not personal?
Yeah.
You're just running people over en masse?
If you shoot someone, you have to live with it. If you run someone over, you just drive away.
Hey, that was mission complete, alright? Oh.
I shot him right in the head.
Doesn't even care.
I shot him right in the head.
I wish Cole would have done that, like, walking over body animation.
And now we return to the incongruous Crusaders.
Detectives?
Where?
Across the river and follow the dirt path.
Oh, the last thing I wanted was for these to become more frequent. When these first started, there was at least 2 months separating each one.
An increase in frequency. Stands to reason he will have made a grave error in the way he went about this one.
Bray? Dan?
Hey, Clark. What do we have?
Well, based on her belongings that were scattered around. Her name is Amber Morris, 20 years old, college student at the University of Southern California based on what we found in her handbag. And then... blunt force trauma to the head, showing signs of a frenzied assault by how part of the frontal bone of the skull is exposed. It's fair to say that's what did it, but again, I'll look into it. Time of death, around 1 a.m. Once again, chained to a tree with the Roman numeral branding iron mark of the number 31 on their forehead as well.
Along with the poem taped to her dress.
Yes. Couldn't bring myself to read it quite yet.
Let me see it, because Dan's illiterate. Your mind racked with toil, overtaken by turmoil, a 31st to be received by the soil, and yet I have not encountered my foil.
I'm hoping you can answer my prayers here, but do 2 of you have any leads to go off of?
It pains me to have to look you in the eyes and say this, but you don't. We were hoping he might have tripped up here and left us something valuable to go off of.
At first glance, nothing here out of the ordinary, just someone taken away too soon, strung up in a macabre display. With the City of Angels' finest no closer to ending this hell on Earth.
We are doing everything we can, Clark, I assure you.
We will find this guy and have him in front of a grand jury.
How many more, Dan? How many more, Bray, huh? How many more lives are going to be swept up by this walking apocalypse? There are answers out there and you need to find them. I know what you're thinking. The coroner's letting the bloodshed get to him. He's bringing emotions to his workplace? Yeah, I am. You know why? In one-off murders, I put that despair, that hatred in the back of my mind. I get to work, and eventually the murderer is found and punished. The victim's family can have one morsel apiece, and I, knowing that, over time that despair and hatred dissipates. But not with this anymore. That hatred and despair has become a vile toxin churning in my head, and it's been simmering for 4 years now, with not even an inkling of resolution. You have to find him. I don't think that's asking too much.
Not at all. You have our word. Now, were you able to get an address from her belongings?
Yes, we do have an address for her. She lived on campus. The address is 6932 Turner Street. There wasn't a dorm number, but you can get that from the head office.
Thank you, Clark. Dan, let's head out.
Onwards then. The dorms are down there, but here's the head office.
Hey Dan, did you ever spend any time at college before the force?
Nah, I was kind of pressured into it, but I sided with the good old blue uniform. Didn't take me long to shed that blue uniform and sprout my wings as a homicide detective, though, because I'm a masterful detective.
Mob informant. Excuse me. Masterful detective, yes, of course, I misspoke.
Keep saying that all you want.
LAPD, ma'am. We need the dorm number of a Amber Morris.
Let me see. Floor 2, dorm number 14. Here's the key.
Thank you. Here we are. Wait, Dan, she might have a roommate.
I already started opening the door. No time for formalities now.
All right, nobody's here. Let's have a look.
I'm gonna be absolutely heartbroken if I find what I think I'm gonna find.
Like writings about her future and aspirations?
No, like fan letters to me.
Yeah, because all the college kids are fawning over that guy they read about in the papers, who once suggested instead of doing a normal stakeout, you know, sitting in the car and watching the suspect's house, go to the lawn next door with a sailor's uniform on and start jumping rope. Why? Not even Sherlock Holmes could nail that reason down.
Why? Firstly, I pass as an adorable little tyke. Secondly, people let their guards down around kids. I see something suspicious, I peer over there, he sees me looking, I'm just the neighborhood youngin', and he goes on with his day. My partner thought that was unsatisfactory, so I never got to do it.
And glory be to him for saying it. Dan, can't you just admit that every partner you've ever had has carried you?
They don't carry me, I drag them.
Yeah, through the mud of your incompetence.
I'll get it approved one day. Hey, I think I got something. It was stuffed under the mattress.
What?
It's a container. Sleeping pills.
Bag those. We'll meet up with the coroner to see if those were in her system.
Will do.
What's this?
What do you got?
Looks like your diary.
Let's start with September 28th and work our way backwards.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, nothing was written yesterday. We'll start with the 27th. Here we go. September 27th, 1948. Not even a month back at school, and I'm already feeling weary.
Walking into classes apprehensive and walking out with a defeatist expression plastered on my face. Yet I continue on day by day. No immense feelings of sadness, just fatigue and unsureness. All I can hope is the path that I'm laying in front of me leads to more stable feelings like elation and joy. Nevertheless, I have at least the slightest handle on remaining in a positive headspace. For the tail end of my freshman year of college, as well as the past few weeks, I've been seeing Mr. Moore, who has lent me a much-needed reprieve. Over time, he's helped me calm my mental exhaustion and the stranglehold it's had on me. Just meeting with him yesterday has brought me a little closer to feeling better. Slowly but surely. It still makes its presence felt from time to time, but he has helped me in suppressing it. A newfound calm has come over me knowing I'll get to return home this weekend and enjoy some time with my mom, who has already arranged a trip to the orchard for some apple picking, and my dad, who assuredly will take us out for a fun night at the lanes. Life has its hurdles. But I feel like I can leap over every one of them and not only stick the landing, but be stronger for the next one. To a family-filled weekend.
Hooray. Didn't Rachel Singleton's Uncle Walter say she was getting help with her anxiety?
Yeah, he did.
This guy by the name of Morris seems to have sent us an involuntary invitation.
Well, let's get out to the car, see if we can't get an address.
Should be easy considering there can't be many practicing psychologists named Moore in Los Angeles.
Well, this was productive. We learned a bunch of things.
A bunch?
Yeah, we learned about this Moore guy, the sleeping pills, and now I know there's a way to pick apples without illegally trespassing.
This is just great. The dispatch radio isn't getting a signal.
Wonderful.
The station's a bit of ways away. I'd hate to drive all that way for an address. Dan, do you live around here? We could just use the directory and call from there.
I live out of the way.
Alright. Now that I think about it, not only could I get the address at the station, but I could also get a list of this Moore guy's patients.
Sounds good. Back to the station we go. Hello? Yeah, Captain, we got back a little while ago. Well, we found out from the latest victim's diary that she was seeing a psychologist that we have reason to believe also is treating the last victim as well, and Bray is calling to get an address, and we're gonna head down there after. All right. Gotcha, Cap. Bye. What do we got?
Oh, we got something and then some. This guy's name is Rodney Moore. He's a counseling psychologist at the Southern California Counseling Center. I called the head honcho down there and get this. I ran down a list of all the victims' names for him. He confirmed that all of the victims were seen by Moore in the last 4 years. Who's more inclined to get a handle on these people's schedules and day-to-day behaviors? And the 3 universities that all the victims attended? The University of California at Los Angeles, the Los Angeles State College of Applied Arts and Science, and the University of Southern California. What's in the middle of all those, a little ways east of Beverly Hills? The Southern California Counseling Center, where he practices his trade. And when did the murders take place? During the heavily taxing school year. It might be a shot in the dark, but it's something.
Good work. Let's go take a ride down there.
Alright. Wait 1 second. What is this?
What?
Today's paper, the front headline says, "The Haberdashery Killer Strikes Again." Wait, Dan, when you were talking to the press last week, is this the name you gave him?
Yeah.
Well, did new evidence come up that I didn't know about?
No, it's just I did some digging and I found out that all the murders took place within 5 miles of a haberdashery store.
So does that really justify him being called the Haberdashery Killer?
Listen, I know it's a stretch, but I had some free time and I looked into a couple things because these people from the press are not going to stop hounding us until we give them some information that they can use to come up with a name for this guy. And it's got to be information that has some backing evidence to it so it doesn't come down on us later. Listen, now evil has a name for the city to unite against. It's a small thing, but important nonetheless. In these turbulent times, we have to come together and stay together. We can't be divided.
I barely heard what you just said because now I am so awestruck about how much pointless legwork and cross-referencing you did to come to that stupid conclusion.
These people usually have names. The tabloids want a name to parade across their front page.
Well, if nothing stands out from the information we give the press, then they don't get a name.
Well, then the freak's not creative enough and we have to pick up the slack.
Are you listening to yourself right now?
Sorry, the coffee machine's broke.
Are you trying to be funny, or are you chalking up that level of idiocy to the coffee machine being busted?
A little both. Let's head down to the car, get over to that counseling center.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hello, gentlemen. Can I help you?
Detectives Bray and Dan, LAPD. We need to see Rodney Moore. Is he in?
Yes, he is. I'll buzz him for you.
Also, if you want to pencil this guy in for a 5 o'clock, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I probably would have to keep rescheduling considering how often I'm following you on yet another false lead.
Name one.
Ma'am, time's of the essence. We need to see him.
Mr. Moore, there are 2 gentlemen from the LAPD here to see you.
Send them in. I'll see them now.
Right through that door.
Thank you. LAPD, sir. We are investigating the murder of one of your patients, Doctor. Amber Morris.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that.
We'd like to ask you some questions.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Why was Amber seeing you, Doctor?
She was feeling severely stressed about the school year. I was helping her learn how to relax the best I could.
Did she speak of any other things that were troubling her? Were there any people she spoke of?
No, I can't say she did. Sir, if I may be so bold, what are you doing?
Just looking at this very impressive collection. Y.B. Yeats, Robert Frost. You like poetry?
Yeah.
You write any yourself?
I don't know why that's pertinent at the moment.
Mr. Moore, did she speak of anyone that was adding to her worries?
She,
Mr. Moore, Miss Thomas is here.
send her to the door. I need to tell her something.
You couldn't just tell her you're busy?
It's important never to let a patient feel like you're shutting them out in the cold. Their mental walls rise up and make them more closed off. I'll let her know what's going on and we can continue. Hello there, Marissa. I'm assisting these policemen with something and, well, I'll be right with...
We got a runner! After him!
Rodney, stop! You're only making this worse! We're bringing you back to the station where we can continue this little spat.
You know we've got a siren, Phelps.
Well, they're evasive.
Can we try to spare the general...
LAPD officers are sworn to protect the lives of the citizens of Los Angeles.
Can you cool on the philosophy for a minute, please?
You repeat to them what you told me.
I did the right
Casual use of the N-word approaching. Oh, jeez.
Happier times, I guess.
Parents of the corn. Everybody, I've concluded that the victim in question is somewhere not wearing glasses. So put an APB out on people not wearing glasses, but don't seem comfortable in the position. That's the trick. You gotta find the guy that's like itching his eyes a lot and maybe got a bottle of eye drops in his pocket. If you hold Y... Oh, there you go. Okay.
Alright.
Heel drive?
Yep. Give the people of Los Angeles a little break.
Oh, we don't even get to see him if he does it or not. You don't know him.
I hope it fades from black and it looks worse than the car we just found.
No, we're in the car. We're in the truck with the oil cans.
Cole is passed out, flat drunk in the back of the pickup. I don't...
We work so well together.
I love you, Bukowski.
I'm gonna take this plane. Wee. Wee.
Imagine Cole's just play acting with the two airplanes. He can't get over his war days.
I don't think this is anything.
And this is the Japanese airplane. This is the American airplane. The Japanese were coming down. They used this. They used this strategy called kamikaze, and they just came down out of nowhere.
A movie.
Hey, Bukowski, have you ever heard about my secret powers?
I have these visions. These blinding visions. I can't get them out of my head. My skull, it feels like it's in a vice.
I want to give you something to calm your nerves.
It's called heroin.
Where'd they get that picture from? Hey, Fontaine, we want to get some action shots. Sit at your desk. Just orate. Do it. If any of that is misplaced, I'm gonna kill you too. Don't worry, ma'am. Cole Phelps is the stiffest human being you'll ever meet.
A used ticket to Seattle and a suitcase gone missing.
That's how you'll know. That's how you'll know I really want to leave my house if you find a ticket to Seattle in my room. But he must really want to get out of here. Goodness.
I cooked Adrian's dinner and waited.
I was home, cooked his dinner, burnt it a little. I was awaiting the backhand, but he never came home. Kind of disappointed.
You're lying about the photograph, Mrs. Black.
You're incredibly rude and insensitive.
Hey, you think he's bad now? You see him when he has road rage. Goodness.
I told you what I know.
Do you know how thin that front wall is? How do I change outfits?
Let's pause. Maybe. Outfits.
I'm gonna change in the middle of the street.
Let's see what we got.
I like this one better.
Much more dangerous by night. Cole Phelps. Road rage, vehicular manslaughter, indecent exposure. What depths will you not sink to? What is that for? Let's go back. Oh, no. The cutscene disallows it. Can't go back.
Hell no. I'm sorry to hear that. I like Adrian. He's a good boss.
Please, don't tell me you actually believe this jerk-off, Phelps.
Just mash the Y button. Adrian, he's a good guy. Oh my god, hit the...
Oh!
He's making it too easy. Or let him off by... Oh.
I don't think we need to arrest him.
That's up to you. Aiding in a disappearance that was covered up as a murder. That's up to you.
He didn't lie to us, too. I think we could do it.
If you think this is bad, you should see me on a beer run. Both to and fro the store. Go back and look at your handiwork. Come on.
Roger, KGPL.
Roger, KGPL. Yeah, they were homeless. Yeah, they were both homeless. That's fine.
Hope you got that out of your system.
Is that a challenge?
You can go a long way in this department.
Well, thank you, Captain.
He didn't mention the vehicular homicides at all.
He didn't. The driver's... Injuries...
$200.
Okay. Okay, we solved the case. Case closed. But who's the real devils of the City of Angels?
And now we return to the incongruous Crusaders.
Exceptionally fine work, gentlemen. You wrangled quite the catch. Only question is he a minnow or a black-eyed great white?
Much obliged, Cap.
Thank you, sir. We're very confident we can get somewhere with this guy.
Are you sure you'll be able to make something stick?
Absolutely. Completely aside from the fact that he ran, he has more than an ample amount of opportunity being the psychologist of all of these victims. He would have known the ins and outs of these people's lives, and we discovered a fair amount of poetry in his office. Now, of course, all these things being circumstantial, if enough adds up, that's cause for an allegation. And with enough prodding, we believe we can get him to break.
I hope so. Rodney Moore is being arraigned downstairs. He'll be able to call his lawyer and then taken to the interrogation room. As soon as that's done, you two can head down there and conduct your interview.
I'm gonna head down there now to see if we're almost ready to rock and roll. I'll come get you when it's time.
Gotcha.
You might be able to have a satisfying night's sleep tonight.
I hope. This case has carried with it nothing but tension and mayhem. And Dan's been quite the chore, too. It's been 8 years since Bradley retired. He showed me so much about the inner workings of all this, and it just pains me to think about him even now. He never fully recovered from that last case we were on together. Now rolling down the tracks 7 years and I'm paired up with Dan, which is such a far cry from those days.
I understand. Dan can be quite the tumultuous tag-along, but when he has his head on straight, he's quite the asset.
I completely agree with that. When he's focused, he's given helpful insight and helped me out of some heavy jams. Not to mention, he does bring a lightheartedness to this miserable landscape we traverse, but at times he can be a lot to handle. Imagine Tom and Jerry. Jerry sees Tom fumble and fail over and over again, and Jerry outdoes him at every turn, but then suddenly they're forced to team up.
Can't be that bad.
The amount of times Dan has gotten frustrated with a case and just wanted to frame a homeless person is staggering.
He has his flaws, his drawbacks, like all us beings of flesh and blood have. I don't think he's as bad as you're making him out to be, but I'll talk to him, see if I can't get him to tone it down a bit.
Hey Dan. Are we ready?
Not yet. Hey Cap, I have a question for you.
Yes, Dan, what do you need?
Since we have a possible murderer among us right now, it got me thinking. If you beat every one of your victims within an inch of their life and they all go into a coma and then the parents eventually decide to pull the plug, are you a serial killer or just a piece of garbage that's bad at his job?
For the life of me, Dan, I honestly can't give you an answer for that. I'll try to get back to you.
Alright, I'll ask some of these other guys out here. Bray, I'll come and get you when we're ready.
Gotcha. How about along with ammo and fuel for the squad car, I can include Dan as a tax write-off?
I'll look into it. For right now, though, you do know what angles of attack you'll use on this guy.
Definitely. We will do everything in our power to get this guy dead to rights.
Splendid. I will be watching from behind the glass.
Scratch that. I don't have time for my survey. Bray, we're ready.
Dynamite.
Then let's go get it, gentlemen. Give him hell.
Let's not disappoint.
Not an option. Let's have a little recap, Rodney. You've had unprecedented access to every victim that's ended up on a slab in the last 4 years. You clearly have an eye for poetry, and you know what? I could have just sat at my desk and written all of that off as circumstantial. But you compounded all of that with an attempted escape. You took off like a bolt of lightning. So tell you what, I have half a mind to throw you in a cell on suspicion of murder, just as an experiment to see if more bodies don't keep piling up. And before you ask, can he do that? Well, after 4 years of no one accused and seated comfortably on death row, I'll let you in on a little secret. The people outside these walls, that walk these halls, they're just itching. They're chomping at the bit to watch someone rot behind iron bars. And they'll be willing to push the old textbook to the side even for the prospect that this rampage will stop. I don't want us to jump to that end game, but I could soundly rest my head at night if we did. So you better give me a succinct and conclusive answer to my next question. Why did you run? And why don't we have reason to believe you're the killer?
We're all ears, you crafty shrink.
I didn't kill anyone, I assure you. As far as why I ran, the moment you told me the reason you were at my office was to discuss the death of one of my patients, which, as dearly sorry as I am for that, she was the latest in the string of what? 31 murders that has spanned across 4 years of a fruitless endeavor on the part of this station to apprehend this looming specter? I knew you would try to paint this narrative of me being the culprit. And as it turns out, that is the port I am docked at in this very moment. I've been relegated to sitting here with you, a glory-seeking opportunist who will bestow the mantle of scapegoat on an innocent citizen, and this harlequin who's an embarrassment to the badge he bears.
Dan, don't you take issue with that?
This guy's specialty is summon people up, so I guess I'll have to take his word for it.
Of course, now is when you take the hint. Hey Doc, I'll give it to you. That was real smooth. Eloquent even. I'm really hoping you take a similar approach to your next answer. The coroner's toxicology report came back, and as it turns out, she had traces of diphenhydramine in her system, and you'll never believe what we found wedged underneath Amber Morris's mattress. Sleeping pills. I looked at the label, blank. It wasn't written who prescribed them to her. And as you know, psychologists aren't legally allowed to prescribe medication.
Don't try to put that on me. I've never prescribed any sleeping aids.
We thought otherwise, so we took a little look around your office. After a thorough look around, nothing.
Well, there you go. Stop with the happenstance and...
Until we took a look inside your house, and you'll never believe what we came across. 8 small cases of sleeping pills. The same kind of case in Amber's dorm room.
We feel the way it went down is you would call them to your office after hours, when no one else was there, and when they needed a refill on their medicine, where you would offer them a drink laced with a concentrated dose of crushed up sleeping pills, take them to the park, and butcher them late at night. You would ensure the victim had gotten rid of the previous case by warning them that if they didn't, they would get into severe trouble, and no trace would be left that you gave it to them. However, you didn't account for the fact that Amber still had 1 pill left. She just told you that she ran out because she was going to Sacramento the night she was killed to be with her family and knew she wouldn't have enough for the weekend. But you're a smart guy. You knew something like that might be inevitable. So what I'm thinking, considering all the victims had traces of sleeping pill medication in their systems,
You created a nice little fallback for yourself.
you covered all your bases. You started prescribing them all sleeping pills weeks in advance of each murder, so if we ever somehow arrived on your doorstep, found your medical stash, but had no physical evidence that connected you to all the victims' deaths, you could just claim you were illegally prescribing your most recent patient medication. You do 5 months in prison for illegal distribution, and you're scot-free.
This is preposterous.
No! This is the part where you look me in the eyes and tell me I'm wrong. Or, this is where you look me in the eye and you admit to everything. Because you have one more chance to solemnly cooperate with us, or the moment we connect you to the crime scene, you will be on the fast track to the electric chair, no questions asked. If you're honest now, we'll speak to the judge on your behalf and try to reduce it to life imprisonment.
Fine,
Hey, we're conducting an investigation here. Whoa,
Hey,
whoa,
hey,
whoa,
hey, hey,
hold
wait!
on.
Get out of my way. Now.
Put the gun down.
I said move!
What do you want?
That monster killed my daughter. She told me on the phone the night she died she was just going to meet a friend. That's the last I heard from my little princess. There's one of two ways this can go. You get out of the way and I wipe my daughter Lucy's tormentor from the face of this planet. Or you can uphold the law and I will shoot you in the head. If that's what you choose, just know that while you may perish, I will bring a decisive and rightful end to your investigation.
We can handle this. Just put the gun down and...
I guess you've chosen.
Give me that!
Hey, we need a doctor in here. Hurry! Officer, throw this guy in lockup.
Yes, right away, detective.
Hang in there, man.
Marvin Fisher is all locked up.
How'd he get in here?
Turns out he's chums with Officer Hernandez, and he told him that we had the likely suspect down here. Hernandez will be suspended indefinitely, awaiting further review for disclosing classified police information.
We have an officer on the door to Moore's interrogation room.
Good. Dan is at the receiving hospital for the gunshot wound. How severe it is, we don't know, but we will keep tabs on his condition until he recovers and returns. We wish him a speedy and tranquil recovery. But Bray, I must tell you, you and Dan may secure yourselves the conviction of the century.
Captain, I can't explain why, but I'm starting to second guess Moore being the killer.
What are you saying? The evidence pile is being amassed and soon we will set it ablaze to roast this demon over it?
True. There's just something about what Moore said at the very end before Marvin Fisher bursted in. Not even what he said, but how he said it.
Don't let doubt cloud your mind now. We may very well be on the cusp of ending this 4-year-long hellish trial.
Captain, what was the most that came from investigating the branding iron angle?
Well, when Frankie and Vincent were inquiring about it, they checked the only store in Los Angeles and the only store in 100 miles in every direction that sells them. They looked into the purchases made in the year leading up to the first murder, and nothing concrete turned up.
Were there any revelations about the actual branding iron symbols attached to it? You know, the Roman numerals?
They also checked all the design orders made from the store to the factory where the logos are made. And just company logos were ordered, so they inferred the killer must have paid for the designs under the table style, and it was never on the books.
What, may I ask, was the company's name that created the logos for the store?
I believe it was called Bridgeport Ironworks. Wait a moment, Bray. They already checked for Roman numeral designs and no one is on record for ordering them.
Unless he made them himself.
Hello there, my good man. Can I help you?
Hello there, Detective Bray, LAPD. I'm looking for the president of this company. I'm guessing that would be you.
You'd be correct. Gregory Moritz, president of Bridgeport Ironworks.
I have a couple questions for you concerning a very urgent matter.
No problem. Follow me to my office, where it's a little quieter.
Thank you very much.
Fire away, Detective.
Mr. Moritz, are you familiar with the murders taking place a little over 100 miles from here in Los Angeles?
Very much so, especially when it started getting into double digits. It's a very far-reaching cyclone of catastrophe, even up here in these rural parts.
One of the consistent factors of these murders is that there was a branding iron used to sear an impression onto the victim's forehead. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that the killer did not order these designs for the branding iron from the store in Los Angeles. I feel he may have made them himself. What I want to know is if anyone had ever directly bought a block of iron for their own personal use in a shady deal. Maybe even an employee taking one for their own personal use? Specifically around the time of May 1944?
Well, let me think.
I assure you, sir, there will be no charges filed against you, your company, or any of your employees if that's ever happened. I just want to know if a deal like that's been made.
For the life of me, I can't recall something of that sort. At least nothing I was privy to.
Okay, thank you very much for your help regardless. As I was getting up to leave, I noticed a wooden clock on the cabinet behind Mr. Moritz ticking away. As my gaze followed the seconds hand racing around in a circle, I realized that the clock was comprised of Roman numerals burned into the clock. Not only that, but they were roughly the same size as the Roman numeral marks left on all the victims. Actually, Mr. Moritz, one last thing. That clock you have there on your cabinet, where did you get that by chance?
Oh, this? Well, this clock I got a long time ago from a good friend of mine who made decorative items for me and some of his other good friends here at the factory. Very talented blacksmith. He'd make a lot of nifty things in his own time at his house.
What is his name?
His name is Paul.
I'd hate to delve too much into your personal life, but what was Paul like? He seems like a very thoughtful individual.
He very much was. To everyone that knew him, while he was kind, he was a very private man.
Did he have a family that you knew of?
Yes, he had a wife and one son. His wife left him about 2 years after their son was born.
What kind of effect did that have on him?
He was very hurt by it. From what he would tell me, while it hurt him, it deeply traumatized his son.
In what way?
Well, he would talk about how his son always questioned with a childlike demeanor, even leading into his adult years, why his mother left them.
What was the son's name?
He never said. Paul was never one to say more than he had to, especially when it came to personal matters. Like I said, he was an extremely private man, and whenever he would talk about his son, he would always refer to him as my boy. He actually became more closed off after his wife left.
Where does Paul live?
It pains me to think of it even now, but Paul died in 1943, heart failure.
I'm sorry for that. Him being a good friend and all.
I appreciate that.
What else would he say about his son, if anything?
From what he would tell me, the way he would speak of him, it sounded like a house of horrors every day, but the sense of love he had for him and his need to make his son happy never left his tone. Paul's son was a solitary kid, especially after the departure of his mother, Gloria. He was very reckless. He often took to strolling down the rural roads for hours, often returning to a distraught father who not only was maddened by his son's disappearance, but by the discovery of another dead deer or raccoon on the property left there by his son during one of his fits of rage. His father tried to redirect him and suppress those feelings the best he could, and for a time he did just that. Paul always pushed for him to get into the medical field, thinking it was a good fit for him, considering how interested he was in the human condition, as he put it, and the way people interacted with each other. On top of him not wanting his son to slave away doing heavy labor jobs like him.
Did he end up doing that?
Paul retired before I ever found out, and lost contact with him over time to the point I didn't find out he died until a week after the fact. He wanted to be alone, and I respected his wishes.
Who inherited the house?
I believe it went to his son. Over the years, I've knocked on the door, but I've never gotten an answer. I imagine that might be because he's now a doctor at the behest of his father and works unique hours.
What's the address of the house?
Oh, let me see. It's 976 Cheshire Road, a little whiles away southwest of here. It's pretty secluded out there in farm country.
Thank you so much. You've been more of a help than you could ever know.
Happy to help in any way I can.
Captain, I just spoke with the president of Bridgeport Ironworks. He had a clock on his desk that had Roman numerals the size of the ones found on the victims' heads burnt into it. The guy who made it worked for the company. He's now deceased, but he had a son. He said that his father urged him to pursue a career in some branch of the medical field.
What is the son's name, Bray?
I don't know, but he inherited his father's house. I'm headed there now. I'm about 40 minutes out. It's at 976 Cheshire Road.
Exemplary work, Detective. This may very well be the final nail in the coffin for Moore. Well, be on your way, my friend. Call me if anything new comes to light.
Yes, Captain. Well, here we are, on a dark, stormy night nonetheless. Time for rejoicing comes later. The time for candor comes now. The only question is, how will that truth be conveyed to me once I enter this house? Wait a moment. As I peer into the darkness, I see a car approaching the house. I draw my gun and duck behind my car. Could this be the son? I stay crouched and await our inevitable meeting. LAPD, step out of your car now, slowly with your hands up. Now! Step out slowly.
Hey, buddy!
I swear to... Thanks for the startle there.
I wasn't gonna let you go into this firestorm alone. Every Watson needs a chaperone, Sherlock.
Correct. And every guide dog gets paired with a blind guy.
The duo is not whole without me, is what I'm saying.
Speaking of this little reconvening, you feeling okay after that gunshot?
Oh yeah, luckily it only grazed me. Still hurt like hell, but they patched me up and had me up to snuff in no time. I got discharged from the hospital, I was heading back to the station to finish up with more, then the captain called me and told me you were headed here and had me rush over right away. He didn't want you going in alone.
Well, in that vein, let's head inside and turn this place upside down.
Rightio.
LAPD. Doesn't seem like anybody's home.
If you saw my resume, under skills and interests, it would read breaching. Get out of the way. If we meet any evil spirits, for the love of God, don't give them your real name.
Yeah, got it. This place is in shambles.
And then some. It was just as bad outside over by that barn. I guess when you're Amish, a farmer, or any other pansy who relies on animals for a paycheck, you really don't care about upping the neighborhood property value.
What is this?
What do you got?
It's a cage covered in barbed wire. I want to believe that isn't dried blood, but I think it is.
I'm seeing a lot of feathered trinkets over here.
What?
About a dozen high school class rings.
Well, in a very macabre way, I think we have our answer. This is where it lives.
Agreed. Oh, even more so.
The branding iron.
Along with these Roman numeral symbols.
We'll bring all that back to the station with us.
Now I'm just waiting to find that bastard Moore's high school class picture with cobwebs and sawdust still in his hair from the locker he was in 5 minutes before it was taken.
After what Greg said, most signs sure point to him. Although, speaking of Moore, during that interrogation when you called him a shrink, I was inclined to come to his defense.
Why?
Because it was coming from the guy who looks like he shrinks every single day.
Now look here. My name's gonna be mentioned first in the papers tomorrow.
And? Is that your comeback?
That's all I can muster at the moment.
Huh. What do we have here?
What do you got there?
It's a first birthday card. Let me see. It's from this guy's mother, Gloria, that Greg told me about. My precious, oh so sweet, tiny fingers, adorable feet, a beautiful baby we so adore, a little miracle forevermore. In the same way that I will always be your mother, you are and always will be my... Daniel?
For the longest time, it was the shining unknown of the night sky. But tonight, it was your headlights of all things that led me home.
Don't tell me.
Don't tell you what. Let me hazard a guess. Don't tell me the answer was hanging right alongside me and now my ever so delicate ego is bruised. That card you found. I'm so very sorry you had to see that. I would hate for the last thing you happened your eyes upon to be a viscerally toxic lie.
That's why? Sounds just like empty reasoning.
Oh, you would like to think that's the central reason, don't you? But in truth, it's not. Because there is a difference. For years now, I've hated that witch that scrawled her name on that card. But them, the 31 and counting, I've shared a true kinship with them. An unreachable bond for most.
They were all so lovely. They were all so precious. And they were all...
such easy pickings. I mean, after all, what is that old adage that gets implanted in their minds over and over again as early as when their parents teach them how to ride a bicycle or tie their shoes?
Always trust a policeman. Where you?
Just a friendly lawman who, after informing them that they needed to come with me because their apartment or dorm was broken into, offered them a nice cool refreshment on the ride over that always seemed to make them a little drowsy. But I don't want to keep your fate shut out in the rain for too much longer.
So since you're the sleuth, let me get you up to speed.
I do heavy reconnaissance on each one of my dolls before they're transcended, and with the latest one, I noticed something different. All of them were acquainted with Dr. Moore in a professional setting, but Amber, I noticed she was extra close with him. And after she was unshackled from her worldly chains on that hill, I found something in her handbag. Sleeping pills. I realized that's what was going on. She would go to his home for a romantic rendezvous in exchange for something strong to ease her nightly worries. That's what he was going to confess to. He's gonna really let his wife and infant daughter down. So I figured this was the perfect chance to have some fun. I took them and stuffed them under her mattress for us to find. I really don't like to create work for myself, but I really wanted to prod the police a bit. They throw this guy in the big house for illegal distribution. They keep looking for something to tie him to the murders. They're certain it's him, and then, voila, another doll turns up. For them, it'll be sheer painful mortification, but me, laughs for days. Simple enough little game. Sadly, I can't take all the credit for framing him. He was every one of them psychologists after all. There's nothing better than built-in accountability. So now, I'll end you, raise this place to the ground, and start anew.
There's one thing you didn't account for.
What may that be?
A precinct reunion.
Mercer! Oh, stellar acting. I'll give it to you, that was good. Now where are you? You know, I've had my eyes on another as of late. If you want, I can give you all the details of what I'm gonna do. Might make it easier, considering that no one at the department even came close to catching me. Not even me. Gonna have to wait a little while to burn this place while the rain's coming down and all. Gives me plenty of time to decorate your corpse with some designs. What shall I engrave? Maybe your badge number on your cheek? For the funeral. You are dying in the line of duty after all. Oh, maybe Captain Benedict's face on your navel. You always were his lapdog. Come to think of it, I'll just keep it simple. I'll burn the letter CD into your forehead. That's 400 in Roman numerals. I think that's roughly the amount of family members you and the department have let down. Mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, and friends. You remember Marvin Fisher? That slick scumbag who plugged me in the leg? The fury in his eyes and the vileness in his voice and actions. He's not the only one. You and the department have left hundreds of poor souls in that decaying state of mind. And while they may bury you a hero, you'll be remembered by all of them as the man who couldn't save our little girl. All right then, let's have a go. End of the line, friends. Come on, can't I have a front row seat to you finally making some progress in this case? Actually, you know what? I'm more than fine sitting back here.
Captain!
I get a good view of that lump on the back of your head.
Bray, what have you gotten? Did you find something? The last piece of the puzzle, I hope.
I didn't just get something. I got somebody.
Oh, well, who is this somebody?
Not just somebody, but one of our own.
You don't have to work and slave. Let electricity do it for you. You can have your
33, 1, 0. Main event of the evening.
Wednesday and half past the hour.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Garrett Regan, and in what was a lengthy trial that followed what seemed like an eternity of malice and butchery with no perpetrator accounted for, Dan has been convicted of 31 counts of murder and ordered to die in California's electric chair tomorrow. What virtually everyone outside these prison walls feels like is a deserving end to a deserving boogeyman. We now go to inside the prison for the first and final interview with Dan himself, with Charles Sampson. Please be aware that viewer discretion is advised.
Now, Dan, as we sit here contemplating during your final hours, what is undoubtedly on everyone's minds is... Wait, what? Oh. This was sudden. Okay.
What's going on?
Well, it turns out someone else will be conducting this interview.
Who?
Here he is.
Hello there.
Oh, this is freaking garbage. Why the hell did you get him? Why am I being punished? More than the state's already punishing me.
Well then, let's get this shindig underway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with my former partner, associate, sidekick, lackey. Can you state your name for the record?
What?
Oh, it's just a formality.
Dan?
Weight?
150.
Height?
5'5". Damn it! Keep that going and you'll jumpstart a vicious anti-bullying campaign.
I'm confident I won't. Now, Dan, why am I here? Why am I talking to you? I was just rushed into this gig.
Screw you too.
Hostility. Okay. Speaking of hostility, did the kids in your school present you with a lot of that? More specifically, present you with a barrage of dodgeballs because of the target your overgrown head presented?
What is this?
Sorry. That's a question for somebody else. That one was for some reclusive, moronic psycho with no social skills. No, wait, that is you.
I swear to God, don't try to psychoanalyze me, friend.
Anyways, I've gotten word from the warden that your fellow prisoners on death row have complained of you getting preferential treatment. He says you refused to shower without a rubber duck.
That's fabricated.
I just hope you didn't drop the rubber duck. God only knows what punishment that entails.
How about you walk the hell out of here?
I'm actually contractually obligated to conduct an interview here, Stumpy.
How about giving me some time to answer these?
Fine. How many times have you made it past the first date? Go ahead, you have the floor. I mean, if you couldn't even get your mom to stick around long enough to drop you off for your first day of preschool, I doubt you could last with a girl long enough to get her to prom.
Screw you and everything you believe in.
Moving on to these atrocities you've committed. None of these people had their shoes on when they were found tied to the tree. They always were away from the body along with their other belongings. A lot of them had high heels on after a night out. Did you remove those because you felt vertically inadequate?
You're inching closer to the sun, my friend.
Did you go into an even deeper fit of rage when you realized that even without the extra lift, it didn't matter, and they all still had at least a solid 2 inches on you?
That tears it! The state set me up with this interview. They didn't want to find out about my childhood neglect and abuse. They just wanted to embarrass me. Bray, I swear to God, you're dead. You're dead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed. When we come back, I'll be going one-on-one with hopefully someone who isn't a deplorable, namby-pamby sack of filth with mommy issues, who also in true wuss fashion demanded his cup of water here be room temperature for some reason. This is Bray, signing out. See you all next week on Is He a Closeted Pansy or Just an Outright Pansy? Catch you all on the flip side.
Poetry is the great hope of man. Let me read you a couple of poems here.
All aboard! Whoops! Tunnel coming up, everybody duck way now!
Come in your favorite flavor.
We like milk with flavor straws, magic straws, flavor straws. Mom says they're a kid's best friend, this magic straw.
Fine, baby.
Olive who? Oh, is that so? Olive in South Carolina. Things are getting tough around here. Hey, don't the hook. You're blowing through it now. That ain't right, because the glass is out being cleaned. You're blowing through it, ain't you?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Garrett Regan. After the volatile interview yesterday, we are moving closer to the execution later this very early morning. We do have some information about the proceedings. Everything's moving right along for the execution that will commence at 8 a.m. Dan was offered a final meal roughly 30 minutes ago. He was offered fried chicken and green beans, and he refused it. Then he requested a last meal of filet mignon, hash browns, a tray of Hog Island oysters, and a bowl of M&Ms. However, only the blue ones. It was granted, made, and he refused it. You know, I thought I was on the fence about capital punishment, but that's cold-blooded. Prison officials are now going to shave his head and have him ready for execution at 8 o'clock. Once again, this is Garrett Regan reporting. That bastard.
Mr. Dan, do you have any final words you'd like to say before the sentence of the court is carried out?
Yes, I do. Before I wander through the doorway from this world into whatever comes next, I do have one thing to say.
If you beat every one of your victims within an inch of their life and they all go into a coma and then all the parents eventually decide to pull the plug, are you a serial killer or just a piece of garbage that's not giving 110%?
I don't know how to answer that.
How do we proceed?
Call the governor. Ask how we should go about this.
Gotcha.
While we wait, prepare him for the execution.
Yes, may I speak to Governor Warren? This is regarding the execution. Yes, hello, Governor Warren. Yes, we have a question. The inmate was granted permission to say his final words, but rather asked a question that we don't have an answer for. We wanted to confirm with you how to proceed. What was the question? He wants to know if a person beats a bunch of people within an inch of their life, and they all go into a coma, and eventually their families decide to take them all off life support, would that person be considered a serial killer or just a terrible person who's not good at his job? Uh-huh. Okay, yeah. Understood. All right, well, thank you, Governor Warren. Yes, he said that's the dumbest thing he's ever heard.
Pull the switch.
But that's a valid question.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I'm Captain Benedict McAllister. We here at the Broadway Police Station are overjoyed to have purged the ultimate evil from the City of Angels. I feel like I'm already overstaying my welcome up here because the time is rightfully meant for the hero. The luminary, the purveyor of righteousness and good, the man that eradicated the scourge of this city. Everyone, welcome Detective Bray. The city owes you a great debt. I hope you know that.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you so much. I am proud to serve the people of this city, and I appreciate the ovation and support. but I thank you for never losing faith in our department and for never discarding your trust that our crusade would end this reign of monstrous terror that befell this city. I would be happy to answer any questions you have. Yes.
Hello, Bray. What led you to finding the house that Dan had been living in?
Well, I suspected that the killer was not Rodney Moore, so I had thought that maybe the killer had made the branding iron Roman numeral symbols he had used on the victims himself. So I went to Bridgeport Iron Works, where the store here in Los Angeles that sells farming equipment orders branding iron symbols from. I spoke to the president Gregory Moritz, who deserves a massive amount of credit with his assistance in this investigation, and during our discussion, I noticed a clock with Roman numeral symbols burnt into it, and found that the guy who made it had a troubled son that inherited the house after he died, and that's what brought me to his doorstep. Yes.
Bray, speaking of Rodney Moore, what will become of him?
As far as Rodney Moore goes, he was illegally prescribing sleeping pills to a patient, so he will be tried and most likely spend 5 months in prison. Yes.
Bray, in the past, some of these vicious killers, granted none as vicious as him, were often not named after their arrest as a way to help the community heal and as an attempt to lessen their deadly imprint on history. In your opinion, from this moment forward, should Dan be referred to as the man who shall not be named?
Definitely. But we'll need something new because that was already my nickname for him around my fellow officers.